right, so how much are we trusting the internet, and especially social media these days? I mean, is it to a point where a social media platform can create a global financial system? Well, let's have our weekly look into the future with award-winning futurist researcher and keynote speaker Nikolas Badminton here on Canada Now. Nick, you look good, my friend.
Thank
Good to see you again.
I feel a bit warm today, but we're all good.
Yeah, it's nice out today. It's nice and hot.
It's great. I'm not complaining.
Hot here in Toronto.
Yeah, for sure.
So this week we're looking into the Facebook Libra coin,
Yeah.
a new cryptocurrency. I'm skeptical, but I'm always skeptical.
Yeah, so, the first round of cryptocurrency was Bitcoin. The people that got in super early 2012 are multimillionaires in the Bitcoin world, right? I know some people that exited out of Bitcoin for millions of dollars and ended up buying hotels and property.
So they got in and out?
They got in and out. They're kind of the sensible ones. Bitcoin's on a rise again. That's all good. But this is something different. So Facebook announced Libra, and I was waiting for this. I sort of predicted that the big players were going to get into, their own currency about a year ago.
Yeah.
And so Facebook, it's called a stable coin that it links to, the US dollar and other currencies.
Right.
So it doesn't have that fluctuation based on scarcity or trading volumes or anything like other cryptocurrencies have.
Right.
So it's stability,
Okay.
which is a good idea. But it's really interesting. If they can turn their 2.2 plus billion users to be users of this. We're talking like the majority of Canadians, the majority of Americans and whatever are still using Facebook or WhatsApp or Instagram. If you can flip people into that world and you start earning the money through actions, or you start converting your US dollars or Canadian dollars into that money, and they've got this huge partner network, then you're only spending Facebook Libra. And what happens in a world where it usurps the Canadian dollar, the US dollar, whatever? You've got Mark Zuckerberg that's head of the World Bank, right?
See, that's the thing, though. Now, okay, let's look at it from a Facebook perspective, because I hear about this, and the first thing I think is the balls on this company. Who are they to go out and say, like, given the lack of trust of late with this company, to go out and say, you know what, we're going to handle your financial info, and we're going to have this cryptocurrency. We're going to get into this. I'm thinking, how dare they? How could a company like that decide that they're going to go out and do that? But then you look at it from Facebook's perspective, and you go, all right, well, who has the kind of global footprint that Facebook does? I mean, an argument can be made for a couple of companies, but I don't think anybody beats Facebook.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Facebook needs to do something, because if they just go with the status quo, they'll be gone.
Yeah, absolutely. So Facebook has to evolve. So, started off as a fairly innocuous social network. That was fun. It was an advertising platform. That's when I worked in advertising. Oh, they've got this new feature. Let's use it this way. Let's target people, whatever. But then it turned into behavioral experimentation. There's evidence of that. And then deep investment. So Instagram, WhatsApp, artificial intelligence. They've got one of the top experts of AI, actually from the University of Toronto down in Facebook. Yeah, augmented reality, virtual reality, all of these investments are now broadening their scope. This is a natural progression because they've got this platform, they've got all of this engagement. And social connections, pictures of your kids and your cats and whatever, it's not enough social lubricant anymore. They've looked to China for WeChat and whatever, where people are spending money in the app. And it's a huge impact to that
So
financial system is working incredibly well there. It's not cryptocurrency, although you've got the ability to exercise that in there. This is Facebook saying, we can create a new financial system for the world independent of your fiat currencies, but linked to them so it's solid. So there's that tenuous link there. And then, trust us again. Because we're really good people. And yeah, you're saying, the nerve of these people. Yeah, but do you know what? They probably beat Amazon by a couple of years into the game. Google's probably not looking at it. Apple
Right.
already, with Apple Pay and whatever. Everyone's trying to get in. It's the new frontier is banking.
Yeah. Well, they're not a banking service.
No.
And they'll say that. We're not a banking service.
Yep.
So should that scare people off? Like, hey, you're using this in a financial way, but this is not a bank.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying that this isn't. Well, it's this independent cryptocurrency that can sort of live independent of banking structures on the blockchain, right?
Right.
And they're not going to link that financial information to your social services. I get
So they
that.
say.
Yeah, or so they say.
So they say.
They change their mind. But, you know, it'd be interesting to read the terms and conditions of this once it gets launched.
Yeah, but who's going to read that?
Well,
you would.
Exactly. What was it? There's a stat that I use with Amazon's terms and conditions.
Yeah.
If you sat down and read them aloud, it would take you 9 hours. Facebook's very similar, and they're really difficult to read, and there's lots of clauses that say they can change anything they want at any point in time if you go into the detail, and it may have changed today, so who knows if I'm right or wrong on that.
Yeah.
But but this is a power move. But this is a power move. I think Amazon were just about to get into this game as well. But Amazon's really smart. They're letting Facebook take all of the heat. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg care. I think that they're in it. They we want to change the world. Do you know why this is important more than anything else? Africa holds the next billion users for platforms like Google, Facebook, or whatever. The average median age in Africa is 18. Everyone's tech savvy. Everyone's moving to cities. Those cities are going to need currencies. The banking system in places like Africa is not very good. This Libra currency is likely to be launched in these regions first because it can have the most impact. It starts to get picked up there in India and whatever. You've got over 1 billion users. Then it's going to be sensible. And then our mums and dads and grandparents are all going to be. It's like, oh, I sent you 100 Libra coin for your birthday, Nick. It's like, thanks, Grandma.
Thanks, Grandma.
Right?
Yeah. So is this a premeditated thing where Facebook is well aware of where the users will be coming from?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they're going to target them?
Absolutely.
And that'll be their base, at least to start with?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm being completely speculative, Jeff, right? I want to make that clear. But this is the narrative that's in a lot of these tech companies. They've got to grow. Growth is the key. If they don't grow, their stock price gets hit, right, in their quarterly earnings. He who inherits Africa from a tech platform perspective wins the next billion users.
Wow. The thing is with currency as we've known it, it's global. But then you get like Facebook gets in on this, and then another company and another company and another company. One might feel that, well, I was first in on Facebook, Libra. That's obsolete now, and I just lost all that money. Yeah, is there a fear of that?
No, I mean they're trying to create. This is why they're going to go. It's going to be slow going to get this out into the real world, and they're going to test it and whatever. No, this will be usable currency. This is where a lot of these experiments have failed. Bitcoin, in a way, has failed because you can't spend it on the high street. Really, you used to be able to spend it on the high street 4 or 5 years ago. You used to be able to buy a beer for it. That same beer is worth about, I don't know, $45,000 now, right? So what's interesting is they're going to embed it in. They're going to get the usage. Some people aren't going to go in it for whole hog from the get go. Yeah. But people are slowly going to convert their entire lives, and the kids are going to operate in this way, right?
The thing is, yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, right? Bitcoin is not controlled by any government or corporation. It's a different case here. Is it not? No, I know. Discuss it, but it's still controlled by the fluctuations in the Bitcoin market, all of the Ethereum or whatever. They're still governed by the wisdom of everyone that uses it or mines it or whatever. Yeah. Now, this organization, Libra, has been created separate to Facebook. Yes.
So it's important to think about. It's an independent organization run by mostly, and other partners. There's like Uber in there. Like, why is Uber in there? Because Facebook wants to have the partnerships so that people start to move away from spending fiat currency.
Right. So like a company like Uber is in on this, then you want to get into your Uber, the way you're going to pay for it is through Libra.
And then you can pay for your Spotify monthly subscription with Libra. Eventually the goal is you pay for your rent, your gas, your hydro bills, whatever, your car service.
Is Washington going to let Silicon Valley in though?
But the thing is, if you create an independent stable coin, it's sort of starting to, it's still skirting around the edges, right? The SEC and OSC and all the other sort of securities commissions are going to be on this like very, very seriously, trying to work out how it's going to work, how it's not going to work. We even had a company out in Waterloo called Kick. It was got an application. They ran their own initial coin offering, and now they're being investigated by the SEC. They got in trouble. This is the new breed of people looking at building out ecosystems of blockchain related cryptocurrencies that could work. So these are the real game changer sort of currencies, and Facebook, by its very virtue of having that many connected people and being able to connect in transactions within its services, government should be really worried, and there's something why government should be really worried. In economics, there's something called Greshams Law. Greshams Law is this. It's a monetary principle that's stating that bad money drives out good. For example, if there's two forms of commodity money in circulation, say the Canadian dollar and Libra, which are accepted by law as having similar face value, the more valuable commodity will gradually disappear from circulation. So the Canadian dollar could disappear over time.
Wow.
This is theoretical economics, right?
Yes.
But this is what could happen. This is the downside. Then what happens in a world in if this is unchallenged and this isn't regulated and properly or whatever, the world's spending Libra in the future. And it doesn't matter where you travel tomorrow, there's no exchange rates or anything like that. You know, prices of products and services fluctuate.
It's the same everywhere.
Yeah.
It's the same everywhere.
Yeah.
So if that's going to be the case, government's going to get in on it at some point. Like if it's so popular, government's like, well, we want a piece of that. We want to be in on that.
Well, I think the Canadian government a couple of years ago launched its own cryptocurrency and was experimenting with that. And, governments are trying to get in. They're overwhelmed. So what's great about cryptocurrency and blockchain-based currencies is it's an independent thing. The people are in charge. There's no central bank.
Right.
The power's taken away. Regulations are literally thrown out of the window.
Right.
People want to be able to take their money in and out, convert it into fiat currency, no taxation and whatever. Right. When you get to this point where you have this kind of currency with this kind of backing, it's a stable coin linked to a currency and whatever, there will be rules and regulations around it, but slowly it will just erode the usage of the good currency, the Canadian dollar, right?
Are you surprised that Facebook took its time to roll this out? Because they're not ones to, well, let's take our time with this and really think this out.
Yeah.
They'll let's just throw it out there, see what happens. They didn't do that with this.
No. They've really carefully built a team that's very savvy.
Yeah. They've got former PayPal employees working on this.
They've worked out the business model. It's less about the technology in this case. The technology, you can put that in, you can make that work, whatever. Easy in a way. The business model and how that applies to modern life is the thing that these companies have to crack. It's the business model that changes the world. It's not the technology. So if they get the business model right, they've got the right partners in high volume services like Uber, right? And and say Facebook from a social equity perspective, and you start to really get people used to the idea of spending this currency and earning this currency and trading this currency and paying each other. It's gonna change the way that the world works. Remission payments around the world is hundreds of billions of dollars a year. So I owe you $5. Well, how do I send it to you today? Interact.
Well, that's it now.
And down in the States, it's Venmo and whatever, and it's like, actually, you can do it through Google Messenger now, but people don't.
Oh, really?
They tried to do it through Facebook Messenger. I'm not on Facebook, but I'm not sure it really works. With this kind of service, it makes it super easy.
Well, so Facebook's going to have like Facebook Messenger doing it, like WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be able
Instagram,
to trade Instagram.
Instagram, WhatsApp.
Do you think that's going to work?
Well, Instagram, you can already click on a picture and it will take you to go and buy a product. And if that website it lands on takes Libra, and Instagram promotes that as well as being, maybe you get a discount for a product. That's how you get adoption, right? Disruption.
So then you could pay for it right there using
Done.
Libra because it's all one company.
Yeah, you don't have to go back to your bank. You'd have to check anything. You just check your Libra wallet.
I think it's just a little too... I'm fearful that this works because it's under one umbrella. I just think that they're going to have a monopoly on this.
Well, they're trying to say that it's a group of them. It's a group of us. We're all partners. We're independent.
Are we? There's one person at the top.
Discuss.
There's
right?
one person at the top.
Discuss, yeah.
It's true.
They're shareholders, ultimately, right?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. This is
no.
it. But this is the story. I was in the Valley last week, and it's really interesting place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make money, spend money, make money, spend money. I've got a friend who works in a very experimental part of a very, very large company that remain nameless, and they're literally trying to change the world with experiments, like projects that are like even 5 to 10 years.
Change the world
away.
for the better?
Yeah.
Or to just earn money?
Well, for the better, and the side effect is that you earn money by being a good guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Discuss.
That's too mysterious.
You know, like Facebook's promise at the beginning was, we're the good guys. We want to connect the world. We want to have great communications. We want, I found an old friend. The friend that I saw in Silicon Valley this weekend was someone I'd lost touch with for 18 years. One of my best friends, still now to this day.
Yeah.
And we found each other. He was living in Berlin. I was in Vancouver. He ended up moving to Vancouver to work for a company, which was just a happenstance.
Yeah.
And it's like it wouldn't have happened because of Facebook. There's value there. But they destroyed that value by manipulating data, selling the data, and bad actors preying on that data and them not having enough safeguards. This, they shore it up. The Facebook board of directors, whatever, it's a separate company, everything like that. Sure, it's part of the same family.
Mm-hmm.
It's all this is how they do things. Right?
Is there going to be a time where we don't go into something that Facebook is doing with the same kind of skepticism that we have right now?
I think people don't like Facebook. In the Western world, I think a lot of people are really not liking who they are. There's a lot of very vocal critics. There are a lot of people that are saying that the people at the top of Facebook should be arrested for what they've done. I mean, governments. One of my big predictions for 2019 was government versus big tech. And we've seen it play out. So we've seen like the UK government and the US government and other governments around the world directly take on Facebook and directly take on Google and Uber and whoever. And this is what's happened. People are lapsadaisical. It's like technology is going to be great. It's going to make a world better. And what happens when disruption happens? Oh, I'm really upset because this isn't exactly what I wanted. So now I'm going to get the government to take you on. And it's a bit late in the day.
Okay, so speaking of government, given that we have a federal election coming up this year, there's the presidential election happening next year. For looking at leaders of insert name of country here, is it prudent that we are voting for someone that is well-versed in this area?
Yeah, or someone that's got a plan. So the government of Denmark have got an ambassador to Silicon Valley. So it's fascinating to me. They take the threat of big tech having an impact on Danish society so seriously that they have someone in the valley that's building the relationships. I've been talking about this with federal and provincial governments in Canada for a long time, and I call it predictive government. What you do is you track you track innovation within a large tech company that's gonna already got millions of users, that's gonna affect millions of Canadians.
Yeah.
And you work with them to build proper regulation around that so that they know the playing field, and you set the playing field as government. What we haven't done as government with these big tech players is set the playing field. So if someone goes up for election in the next election, they're like, I take technology seriously, not just from an investment perspective, but knowing what everyone's going to do and how that's going to affect how Canada works. And I'm going to invest in people that are going to be on top of that and advising us as a government around policy and regulation, then they're going to get my vote. Privacy, security, all the good stuff.
I mean, I would hope that anyone that's running for office with that kind of a platform or on that kind of a stage, I should say, would have someone like you though that would be able to say, hey, look, this is something that you're going to have to look at in the next 5-10 years. So you better be well versed in that, because that's coming and that's going to be a problem for you.
Over the last 3 or 4 years, I've spoken to nearly every province.
Okay.
And I've spoken, to federal groups around data and privacy a number of times. I speak at a privacy security conference every year in Victoria. People do tap me on the shoulder. but it's difficult bringing people from the outside in. It's very time consuming, it's very laborious, it's very expensive to bring in, because they wouldn't just bring in me, they'd have to bring in a team of people that creates that balanced view. That's called democracy, that's called good rational process to be able to consider what we're going to do, right? But yeah.
With every visit, you leave us with a lot to think about.
This one's
a big one.
I called it out last year. I didn't know who was going to be the first. It was going to be either Amazon or Facebook, and here we go. Amazon will come out with this next plan in the next 12 to 18 months.
All right. Well, we'll certainly be talking about that then. Check out NikolasBadminton.com. Futurist researcher, keynote speaker, Nick Badminton. Nick, I can't thank you enough. It's always a pleasure seeing you.
I'll speak to you very soon, Jeff.
All right. Looking forward to it.